Hi, Julia.
Thank you. And I'm so stylish, I have red. I see some people are in such a way, but they're just like proud for myself. And I have to say, I'm Julia, I'm the challenger, I'm challenge status quo. Each time when I see status quo, I'm like, oh, let me challenge it. So I'm the challenger, okay? And I run Open Club, and I run the festivals, meetups, and just like community mama. I do different things. Julia too much is my nickname. It's enough. It's enough about me. So let's do networking. So next person coming to the hot seat, Milia. 1 minute.
All right, Malia Stewart. I run a recruiting firm that focuses on digital and technology called The Hired Guns.
Oh, that's right.
I'm sorry, do you mind standing?
Yes. Stand.
Sorry.
Speak out loud.
So my name is Malia Stewart. I run The Hired Guns, which is a digital and technology recruiting firm. We work all over the country. I used to have an office on 25th and 6th, or 26th and 5th, and now I live in Hudson Valley, as so many people. That happened around 2020, surprise. Yeah. So I'm, let's see, what else? Our clients are everything from Hearst, San Francisco Standard, Macy's, National Geographic, Simons Foundation, Wallace Foundation, Democracy Now!, Google, Pocket FM, etc., to very, very small startups. And I work at the intersection. I run a team of recruiters and sourcers who are all subject matter experts, so they all have a discipline that they've worked in. I did not hire recruiters. I hired people who are UX designers, visual designers, etc. And so that's my team. And then on the other side of that, I work with our clients to figure out when they have a job description. I ask like this: are you sure? So I'm going to be talking today about sort of navigating all kinds of things in a sea of uncertainty and change. Yes.
Hi everyone, I'm Marnie Patch. I am a development associate at the Ashokan Center in Olive Branch, New York. I help raise funds, find grants to support all our programs from outdoor education to music camps for bluegrass and all types of traditional music. It's a really great place to work. I also assist my husband. He runs DCPC Live, which is a hardcore punk vinyl record label, and also branching into show promotion here in the wonderful Hudson Valley. Very happy to be here and see what I have to learn today.
Hello, I'm Alexandria. I am a software developer, primarily working in back-end systems, but that was until I was laid off. And now what I'm doing is project management for a VR startup called the Soapstone Comedy Club, and also have myself out there available to open to work on LinkedIn so that I can get a couple more contracts, working currently self-employed and helping the VR startup work with their designers and their developers to complete the project. That's it.
And I am retired. My name is Maria. I am retired from this hospital in Antioch. I used to work for 23 years there as a microbiologist. And now I'm trying to enjoy life and learn new things. I like music, I love singing, and I'm just gonna have fun. See if I can do anything, maybe teaching somebody that needs to know anything about microbiology. And that's awesome. I'm here because my daughter brought it. I'm glad I got out of the house.
Sorry.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Claire. I am a partner and chief of staff with a company named Trimmer. We provide ancillary services for the cannabis industry, including including trained W-2 staff and equipment, and a proprietary program that we've developed, and we're transitioning onto a platform to provide those same fractional services to farmers and to people who don't need them year-round, because it's such a seasonal thing. So I've worked to develop all the SOPs and all of the training and all of the stuff. And I am the only woman in our leadership team. So I do everything. Yeah. You know. Yep.
Everyone.
All right. Hey, I'm Kevin.
Hi.
I'm the trophy husband.
That's my husband.
I design for TV and film and invest in startups.
Yay.
Isn't that a good thing to do?
Because Kevin didn't say enough about him, I'm going to talk about how amazing he is and how supportive he is of many different startups and supporting creatives and like just finding connections in places that most people wouldn't. And that's why Kevin's really awesome. My name is Noelle. I am a New Paltz native, and I have a startup that is helping to make legacy and estate planning more accessible, less sad, and more holistic. So, surprise, 100% of us are going to die. May not have known that. But 2/3 of us don't have a plan. And a lot of that comes from the fact that the majority of people think estate planning is only for, let's just be honest, old white rich dudes. So trying to fix that, and I've been working on this for about 2 years. Had no idea what I was getting myself into. Probably spent up the first year just learning about the law, which is not what I intended, but I had a great time. And yeah, we're about to go live with lots of partners, so.
Yay. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Renita Poland, and what can I say? I had worked in banking for about 10 years, and then I worked for a local utility company for about 10 years. COVID hit. I was injured on the job because they decided to spray us while we were working. And so after that, I was like, where can I get a job where I won't be sprayed? So I decided to go to BOCES because my friend worked there and she said that they're very diligent with not spraying their students. And I've been teaching Microsoft Office Suite to students that English is not first language. And I took a course with Julia through the library maybe a year ago for data analysis. And since that, I've been really interested in learning more about data, how I can use data with all the different hobbies that I have. I like to invest in the stock market, trading, options, real estate. So that's why I'm here. And nice to meet you all. We won't do it. Thank you.
Judy.
I'm Judy Brohacker, software engineer for almost 20 years. Mostly front end in the beginning, but full stack on front end and back end services. I'm Google certified, and I've worked in a lot in higher education and in different aspects of development for banking, for medical, for boutique businesses, large and small, like that. And yeah, and so, you know, one of the things that I'm doing now, which is great, is I have a startup that is basically a financial literacy app that is for K through 12. That's meant to, you know, be something that teachers can use as a tool. This is where we're starting. Teachers can use as a tool to make sure that the kids get interested in finance, they understand words that maybe they've never heard before, that kind of thing. And then my other startup is called Camp Debug It, and it is a retreat. What I do is onboard tech teams, whether they're new people or people from before, whatever, to get them started working together, collaborating on the different aspects of the stack that they are in charge of, whatever their job is. And that kind of gets collaboration going and a good feeling amongst the team, and it keeps people working there longer too. So that's it.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Tally Carter, and I'm a native Newburgher. I'm also an attorney, and you might have seen me in my day job. I represent the city of Newburgh as Assistant Corporation Counsel, but I'm also Executive Counsel to startups and businesses in the creative economy, so we cover it all. And so have known Yulia all the way back to 2016, so we've got some time now. Yulia's starting to add up, and we're going to die. So have some work to do. So really happy to hear about this state thing happened, and the buckets.
Can't
debug it, very cool stuff for all of you. So I'm interested to hear more and happy to support if I can.
Please, Liz, you always spell with an S.
Hey, Liz.
So sit it down. I am a CX, customer experience, user experience designer, researcher person. I have been working in tech for like 20 years or so. I was once a developer, and now I'm more the user customer side of that. I'm founding partner of my own consultancy with my business partner, who's in Los Angeles, and our whole motivation is to remind people that businesses are made up of humans, and that we are creating technology to make humans' lives better, not just to make it cool, though it can be cool and make our lives better. And I'm happy to be here today because it's one of my favorite meetings.
Finally, my name is Jocelyn Bergen. I actually know this from our shared discipline, which is UX research and design. And I live in Kingston. I grew up in Connecticut, moved to California, lived there for 40 years, moved back 4 years ago. And I'm really happy to be connecting with tech people. I have kind of brought my remote work with me when I moved, and I've worked with many agencies over the last 20 years, and before that, I worked at Adobe Systems, and really have a generalist approach, and I love to do ethnographic research and talk to people and bring the human-centered aspect into all this kind of work. And I especially feel like my role involves a lot of detective work and sort of cleaning up messes and looking at ecosystems and seeing things that people might not see because they aren't stepping back and looking at the whole picture. So that's my specialty. And I'm in between projects right now, so I was very excited to see that you were here today. And I'd love to connect, and I'd love to be here, so thanks. Okay.
Not the least. So we have two more people at the back.
Oh, okay.
I'm assisting us. Actually, I'm grateful we have male here. Male and female, right? We're all good is in and young here, so we're really grateful that you support us. Thank you. David, you didn't have a chance to introduce yourself yet. Dimitri and Barbara. So Barbara, go next. Barbara, come over.
I'm Barbara. I'm part Newburgher.
Newburgher, part New
York City. I'm a photographer by trade, and I'm here to support Yulia.
She actually renovated herself. So one of those abandoned houses in Newburgh, so that's how we met, because every time when we do something and we don't know how to do things, we just like, let's throw meat around and ask others.
And vice versa.
That's how she joined the tribe, and that's how we started to help each other. So she's single, solo, house renovator. He's historic in downtown Newburgh. Full appreciation. Here's my partner in crime. Can I introduce Dimitri? Come here. She's filming you. Barbara is the professional. If you want to hire the person to film
I'm so grateful for all what happens here. Thank you for coming. So it's Yulia's birthday a couple days ago. So this is partly the birthday party for her.
No.
So that's all about her, not about me.
Thank you, let's plug this computer. Let's celebrate women, because it's March, we celebrated Women March month, right? And it's kind of proven to be true, because spiritually speaking, the energy is changing, and men energy, kind of, not shading, but letting women lead the world. So we still need men, period. We really appreciate you as partners of crime. So saying that, another man to be introduced. Dave, come over.
Hi everyone, my name is Dave. I've been working with Julia a little bit at Open Hub, teaching some tech academy classes in Poughkeepsie.
Career changer. He's actually a composer, a music tutor. What else do you do?
I'm a pianist.
Pianist, musician, all these things. And he, like all of us, consider it like how to become sustainable. And technology, all kind of things, technology is needed to become sustainable. Whatever you want to do, you don't need to be attached to one thing. You can change your hats. But best thing is just to synergize using technology and just to be tech savvy to become sustainable in what you love. So I'm very grateful that Dave is supportive to everything what I do, and he actually started to teach. I know the best way to learn is to teach. Find a professor did learn the thing he was teaching, but his students were still getting it. So that's how we actually get the thing done. So it's good to be vulnerable, it's good to be not perfect. While you teach, it's okay to ask your students questions. I don't know how to do it. Do you know how to do that? And that's how we actually discover that. It's a journey. Saying that, everyone introduced. So we have the agenda. We have 5 women to talk about their specialty and actually share the wisdom. I need to plug my computer, please. Dimitri, please. I need one of you.
So it works?
It does when I just wake up, unless it's died. Okay. So let's go with the sequence because we have limitations. And again, help yourself with the food. You're okay to assist yourself during the talks. We will go first with Milia. Milia. Okay. Because recruiting is the number 1 thing. It's the most needed nowadays. Come over and give it for 15 minutes, 10 minutes. Okay. Excellent.
Let me make it start.
Good time. Do you need any slides? Do you need anything?
I don't need anything else. It's going to be a thought experiment. And I want to be as helpful to who is in the room as possible, so this is also going to be conversational. My name is Malia. Consider me the canary in the coal mine, because the job, like what happens in employment and jobs, what happens in the way that innovation happens out of a lot of uncertainty, like I get to sort of experience that a little bit firsthand. And it's interesting because this week, I mean, Julia and I talked about this topic 3 months ago, and it feels extremely relevant. This week yesterday on my way home from the city, I was talking to a candidate who had an offer that is $45,000 base more than he makes now. That is $120,000 of unlimited, like very, very real, but unlimited, like bonus. And an incredible team, and like kind of in every metric, if he took this job offer, he would be better. And he said, I was about to sign on Thursday, this offer is incredible, but then the tariffs, and I really think about what my next move is, because in his current role, he runs, this is for an enthusiast brand, they are a publisher. They have a lot of different verticals, and he would be really, really running bass fishing. And in his current role, he runs fishing and hunting. You know where I'm going with this. And he was like, the fishing industry is really going to get slammed. no question. But you know, who's not going to get slung on the hunting industry because it's all made in America. And so because of that, like the uncertainty is so high that even though on every metric this offer is a much better life for me, I can't take it because 0 is still 0. And that is just one story. So in all of that, like this is not going to be a downer because I think that there's always opportunity. And it's like thinking about like what the signal is in a world full of noise, and the noise is just changing, right? Like AI is amazing if you use it well. It can also be incredible noise, and it's really like disrupting the job market. And is anybody looking for either a gig or a job or a no somebody who's been laid off? Everybody's like in the middle of whatever they are right now and whatever they're becoming, right? And like part of that is like also thinking about like, you know, in a moment when there's so many layoffs and so many people sort of like in the middle of work, like how do you like approach change, right? And so there's a couple things that I'd like to talk about today, but I want to hear from you guys, like what are some topics that would be like exciting? We've got 15 minutes, like let's spend our time. What are some topics you're like, I wonder about? I have a list, so don't worry if you.
I'm not looking for that.
Yeah.
If I was talking to you and I was looking for a job, I would be wondering about.
Or if you're looking for talent, that's another one. I'd be happy to talk about that too.
That's great. And same question, which would be, where are the blind spots that I have that you inherently don't, that I could be looking at? Meaning, like, I know I'm looking at either finding talent or finding jobs in a specific way.
That's great.
But there's got to be a secret sauce to it.
I'm happy to. That's exciting. Anything else? Any other big topic that you want to cover?
New technology. How to keep ahead of it, because AI is becoming the thing that everyone has to learn. And data.
I've got homework for you on that too. Okay, we're going to start with blind spots, and then we're going to talk about how to keep up with where you're at. You guys are going to remember those two topics. So when I say like, what was the second one, you're going to tell me. All right. So blind spots. So your topic is like, what do I not know? Like, what are the blind spots? So here are some things that have changed since 2021 that impact the job market in certain markets. A big one is pay transparency. So if you are director level or above, or a contractor looking for a particular kind of job that is pretty specialized, I would bet, there's not data on this, but there really should be, I would bet that the number of jobs that exist on job boards for director level and above between 2021 and current have significantly decreased. Why? Because there are 11 states that have pay transparency and many cities in New Jersey, which is weird. But because of that, like companies don't want their employees to know what they're willing to pay, especially leadership. And so a lot of these jobs have gone underground. I have had more confidential searches in the last 2.5 years than I've ever had before. It's significant.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Yes.
If I know somebody who is director level position in UX, should they talk to you then?
I mean, I'm a great, like,
Not just
me and other recruiters are like having a relationship with recruiters so that like 10% of my business are for jobs that don't exist.
Right. Okay.
So I'm constantly talking to people, and I know my clients really, really, really well, and I don't charge candidates. The candidate pool is like the people who I place often become my clients, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a real symbiotic relationship. But knowing where a business wants to go and finding kind of the right person for that thing, I think is like a really kind of sweet deal. In 2020, like during COVID, one of the things that happened, right, like we had all these, it was a thing that happens all the time, but it was like just extremely transparent, where you have like entire industries sort of like suddenly change overnight. You know, suddenly, I was working actually on a secret, confidential digital transformation for Macy's. They were in San Francisco, they were moving to New York. I started that in November of 2019. Everybody was under NDA. The business, the TA, the talent acquisition people in the business didn't know that this was happening. Only a few people knew we had to be under NDA before they would even talk to us about the thing. And then we started the process, and we used the chief digital officer and like basically the SVP and above tech team to hire their replacements because they didn't want to move to New York. They all had lives in San Francisco. So all this was very surreptitious, and the first hire happened on January 20th, and she like worked basically from her house until she was ready to be onboarded and sort of like introduced. The press release I think came out February 5th that this was actually happening, that this was a thing, and then of course March 2020 happened. They went from 900 stores to 1, which was Macy's.com. At the moment that we were sort of like in the middle, and that was like this moment where also like all the talent that we were already thinking about is quite different. And one of the blind spots I think is both hiring managers and also candidates is you sort of like, this is what I've done and this is what I know, but having like a real like analogous transferable skill set that where you're talking metaphorically about what you do is extraordinarily helpful in any environment, because that's how you can kind of get to the next place. So at that moment, like we also had travel and hospitality collapse, which was a beautiful thing because like travel and hospitality is a different kind of e-commerce, right? And so like thinking about like the things that had to happen during COVID, where you had like suddenly Macy's had to have like an app that would like deal with wayfinding, and like all the things that like really like work well if you're like in JetBlue or Delta had all this transferable need in a store because people needed to get in and out, right? So there's all kinds of opportunity like that, but understanding what you do and what problems you solve in a way that is more holistic and business oriented is like the best thing you can do for your career. And really being able to storytell out of that. And like I love that. Like helping people listen about that.
Even though jobs are bullet point, bullet point, bullet point, asking for all these ridiculous things, terribly written, yada yada, that's the
so
surface.
we do gig alerts,
Yeah.
and our gig alerts have the hero as the candidate. Job descriptions have the company
Yes.
as like
Yeah.
sort of like a Dilbert, right? It's like a want. Like who wants to work there? Nobody. You know? So and I like we have bullets only because I like Axios and smart brevity, but they're not typical bullets, and they're not about the qualification.
You fix that expert. That's the most important thing.
What was your question?
Yeah.
Oh my.
Yours.
Nudes, keeping up with new technologies.
That's right.
So one thing that you would do if you're a business owner, and all of you business owners already do, is you do market research all the time. Candidates, you aren't probably doing market research. You're not looking at the people who do the job that you do and seeing how they present themselves. Like that is the most accessible thing to all of us. And it's like such a learning experience to be able to go in and be like, okay, so like these people have the same kind of role and like the same amount of experience. You can search that on LinkedIn, for example, and really learn kind of like where you sort of stack up and how you're talking about your experience, but also like what sort of tools and skill sets you might not have that you want to get. And you're going to learn a lot about other folks. And I think like being in person is so important, like really building relationships before you meet them, and connecting people with other people and resources as sort of a matter of practice. Those are the things that I think like cultivating that as a habit, I think is something that would be useful. Yeah.
Can I jump in?
Yeah.
What are since you do like bullets, if you were to tell someone that's just starting to hire, or just in general, what are the 2 or 3 things that you feel like you have to educate people on, or like constantly repeating yourself when you start working with someone? Like
as a hiring manager or a candidate?
Hiring manager.
Oh, give everybody a job. Who is on your committee? Like figure out like what your process looks like and make sure they all know what they're doing to give an incredible candidate experience. Because if everybody's like going in and asking the same, you know, it's a bad candidate experience, and you're missing a huge opportunity. So that's one. Two, I think I work a lot with founders at like kind of the moment of like big growth. And so the question I always ask is, what's the job you want to keep? And I think that that's really important to really think about. And then three, what's another one if everything goes well, what does your business look like in 3, 6, 9 months, and a year? And if you can't answer that, like I want to go back to like why this, why now? And like I think there's a lot to unpack there. I think, and if it's a replacement role, a lot of times we're replacing, like we're like, oh man, there were 18 things I hated about that person, which is a terrible way to start a job search because you have this like sort of Frankenstein job description, or you've got like the job description that you pulled out of a drawer or a Google Doc that is like kind of not about what now is, or not about what future is. The other thing is, the easiest thing, and the habit that I try to break with hiring managers is they want to like look at their competitors. And I'm like, if you want to be right up to 5 years ago, that's a great strategy. But if you want to innovate, get somebody who's not in your field. Because they're going to bring ideas and thinking in a way that's going to be really exciting. And treat this job search like a consultancy. Because like if you could get really, really interesting people to challenge how you're thinking about this and to get you to think more expansively, why the hell wouldn't you do that? Because that's what your opportunity is.
Now flip it for the candidate.
Flip it for the candidate, say more.
So what you were just answering that from the perspective of the hiring manager.
Oh, for the candidate. So the more senior somebody is, when they get to me, they're like, oh, I don't need to practice. And I'm like, So tell me about yourself and what do you want and why, what's interesting about this role is the 90% of the time you're going to get a question that's like that to open. You have a real opportunity to turn that into a lot of things. You can answer it the way you would, or you could answer it really, really strategically. And a lot of times people who are really, really senior have so much choice of how to sort of frame that they will either talk about their kids, I've seen that a lot, or they will start at the beginning. And both of those are incorrect. Right? And like giving people the experience of like sort of having a chance at a crack at it and then being like, that wasn't right. But start from an empathetic point of view, like what is your job in a job interview as the candidate is to lower somebody's cortisol. Like the vibe is, I got this. I got you, I can totally do this. Right? And like that is a very different orientation than most candidates come in with. And they're not necessarily thinking about, like when a candidate comes to me and they're like, tell me about the other candidates. Like, I'm gonna perk it up, right? When I first talk to candidates, I never ask them what they've done or what they are doing. I always ask them what they want to do. And most people don't answer that question, they just tell me what they've done or what they're doing. But the ones who do talk about what they want to do are the ones that I'm like, I can replace you. And like that, I think is really, really important to really be self-aware. It's going to make your answers better. The other thing is like have notebook, have paper, have a prop to help you slow down. And show it. Tell people, I'm taking notes. If it's a Zoom especially, and make it a moment. Like one of the things that's really easy for all of us is we like jump into like from one Zoom to another, and it's like hey, and like there is so much opportunity to just like slow down and really listen. So
also, I am taking notes. I forgot paper. I hate that I'm on my phone. Quick question. You mentioned something about when they ask about other candidates. What did you mean by that?
So for example, right now I'm in the middle of a search that's at the end. And so I've got three finalists. They're all phenomenal, but they're all really, really different. And one of them was like, how do I compare? And they were like, they didn't want me to divulge something that was like inappropriate. But what they wanted to know is like, where do I stand out? And that is something that, like, if you're working with anybody who can give you some insight in that, it's one of the things that's so beautiful, because like people don't get like feedback on where they spend like, you know, a significant part of their life. You know, it's the equivalent of sleeping, and you don't get like that sort of understanding of like how you impact people. So I think that's the thing. One other big tip is showing EQ in an interview. Really paying attention to time. If you know it's going to end at 45 minutes, at like minute 40, being like, I know that we're, you know, nearing the end. I just want to make sure that we're, you know, on the same page. And if you haven't had a chance to ask a question, recognize that you probably have more questions than you can answer. Ask one that's going to give them the best experience, which could be about their emotional, right? It could be about like, so tell me about why you took this job. Something like that, right? And then ask for permission to email them additional questions and get buy-in on that, but then they get a chance to see how you operate outside of an interview and actually in a written way also.
Does it make sense to switch to another speaker just to accommodate all speakers, and then we will have a chance to network and then...
Thank you guys.
Thank you. Yes, very good. Go back to our agenda. Who goes next? Judy. So, first of all, we do have the bios here, please.
She said after show.
And I'm saying Judy is the third on this row, so you can read about those, and all links will be just available for you again and again. But software development with a lot of experience.
Can everybody see this?
Yes.
Okay.
Without it, just her.
Okay. So one of the things, and you touched on this so well, that software engineers have to do on a regular basis and for a very long period of time is study. You know, it's funny because when I graduated with my master's degree in computer science and I walked across that stage and I took that diploma, I said, I'm never going back to school again. Well, it's been the opposite. I have definitely been to school and done a lot of studying. So one thing that helps me a lot, is Google Cloud Skills Boost, and it's a site. You're going to get a QR code at the end where it'll take you directly to the site and you can use all this information. But okay, so the way that it's set up is that you learn by doing. You receive badges. On a higher level, you receive certifications. And also, you can pick a learning path. Like, let's say you're a software engineer, you could work the back or the front, but you really don't know what the learning path is for a front-end engineer. It's in there, and you follow the whole thing, and it's just like as if you took a semester of college. That's been my experience. And, you know, it's done in such a way that, you know, it's repetitive, and it's a holistic kind of learning where you get in there, you dig in, and you do labs and projects, and you slowly but surely feel comfortable with what you're doing. And then at the end, you've got the confidence that you need if you want to make a job change. So, okay. So Cloud Skills Boost, I'll just explain, you know, it's all online, all done online, and structured learning paths, and hands-on labs, skills badges and certifications, and it's all tailored for software engineers in different aspects, whether it's front end or back end, but focused, of course, on Google Cloud Platform, because, you know, it's Google. And you know, it's been my experience also that all the cloud platforms are basically put together the same with different things, you know, different clicks to it or links to it or this or that you have to do that's just changing the name, basically. And so that's something that's been super valuable to me because I've worked with GCP, I've worked with AWS, I've worked with Azure, Microsoft, I've worked with all of them. And I feel that Cloud Skills Boost gave me the confidence that I needed beforehand, so that I could take my expertise to the table. And so just if I got that extra confidence, it would be great. I'm a person who's on the spectrum, and I have a tendency to overlearn myself, believe it or not, so that wherever I go and I talk about a subject, I feel like I need to have it, I need to know. And so anyway, I've got a lot of good things from Cloud Skills Boost. I've been through the learning paths, I've been through many courses, many badges, things that, maybe I didn't know before exactly or was under a different name. Kubernetes, Vagrant, and on in this CI/CD environment that we live in. You have to have a good understanding of how to put these puzzle pieces together. And so many times I've come into a project and looked at it and I've said, whoa, I can't even imagine how I'm going to get this done. And then I do a little searching and I look for the skills and I keep doing that. And there's always some way for me to learn it on there. And the credits are, I think, $5 for 50 credits or something, whereas everything else that I've worked with has been so much more money, and it's given me the same result. So, okay. So let me describe a little bit about like the hands-on labs. There's a lot of different tools that Google has available in their environment, and the only way to really learn what you're doing and feel like you've got experience with it is to actually get in there and do it. I've done many different labs that taught me many different things, but also going through the resources, it gives you the idea of what you're going to use it for. Why do you need this tool? How does it go together with the other tools? And so it's just very, software engineering is very competitive. And if I don't know about you guys, but if I show up in a room and I don't really know the subject matter, I won't even raise my hand and talk. I won't say anything because I'm afraid I'll say the wrong word. Or you get all that stuff here. And for me, the kind of person I am, it's been extra special. Okay, certifications. So I'm Google certified, and one of the valuable things that recruiters look for is to see how many certifications you have. 56. No. and it's a way to validate. It's like saying, I did this course, Google watched me do it, and I graduated, I got it. And also you can go back and use the tools again if that's what you need to do, pick up the resources from there. And there's every different tool that you could possibly think of in every iteration, and you can learn about it. Right, role-based. That's a good one too. Those learning paths especially are role-based. So, maybe you didn't know as a full stack developer that you needed to know a little Java. I write JavaScript in my sleep, but Java, I'll do the best I can. So, like that. And you can get that in there and figure it out and learn a little bit about it and be able to use it in your job. Here, okay. So this will take you right to the Cloud Skills Boost page. One of the things, if you're looking and you don't exactly know what you want, there's a part of it called Explore. And all you have to do is put a few words in there and you will get a page of courses that you can take and suggestions and resources and all that. It's just one big knowledge base that's meant a lot to me, and I know a lot of other people who've taken classes and as well, and they all say the same thing. It's the best one available, it doesn't cost a lot of money, and it improves you professionally. So that's what's important about that. Anybody have a question?
You're the best.
Thank you.
What's one of your favorite projects you've ever worked on?
My favorite project that I ever worked on is the first startup that I did, Camp Debugging.
Oh, cool.
And it's a tool, maybe even for people in HR, right? Who, you know, what happens is, and I've been on many teams, you get there, and no matter how long everybody's been working there together, nobody knows all the same things that they need to know to work together on that stack, you know? And so, I forgot what my point was. Oh, yes, camp to bucket. Okay, and so what I did was I put together a curriculum where every aspect of the different stacks that people are using, that teams are using, come together in one environment, and they learn how to collaborate and talk about things maybe that they don't know, or they don't have all the words for, they don't know the glossary, whatever, but, and it's a retreat, and it is also an app and a website, and it's just meant to be a knowledge base and a learning experience that brings people together and makes them closer and more able to collaborate on a natural basis. Which is really important if you want to be enthusiastic about showing up for the people that you're working with. Thank you, Judy.
There are some swags here. I have mostly t-shirts for speakers, assuming they're either small or medium. Not always. If not, so you will catch funds on Wall Street somewhere because they just show the proof. And I have to say that Open Hub actually began out of the hackathon. So I won the Google hackathon with my idea and thought, why not to try it? Which leads us basically, do you mind swapping the place? No. Liz shall go next because she has limitations with time, but I do want to leverage the startup. Noelle is representing startup. Let's make a bridge to what Liz does. Okay.
Just tell me what to do.
Yes. So now we're switching, like from recruiting, we're switching to professional software development engineer, and now we're switching to the more human interaction part. So let me introduce Liz as the human interaction professor. Right? And the best way, as I said, professor learned by teaching. Do we need a break?
I think everybody's like,
It looks like.
Yeah.
Let's have a break, let's have a food. Let's have a break. 5 minutes break period. So
We're going to take you on the road.
You're not a musician's assistant.
there's a hint how to open it because it definitely shall stick out. So you have to solve how to do that, okay? So that's, only if you can solve it, you can take it. If you're not solving it, you cannot, okay? You have to bring your brain to your party, okay? So this is your gift for attending. By default, speakers do get the t-shirts. Everyone is getting the thumbnail or thumb drive. How do you call it? Yeah. So let me introduce Liz, because now we're transitioning from the career, recruiting, headhunting services to professional software development. Now we're switching to the human side of the high tech. Liz is representing this, and she's also teaching it. And Craze University. Look at that.
Yes. Thank you. And so, okay. I don't think anybody here is anybody here a student of a thing? Like, or we're all you're students.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't put it that way. Everybody has been in a profession or is retired from a profession type thing.
Yes.
Okay. So, that's who we're working with. Got it. Humans. Okay, so you guys know I'm Liz. I'm founding partner of Mistakes by Design, and you heard all that wonderful stuff. And I am an expert in information architecture, user experience design, customer experience design and strategy, and my ideas have made a lot of companies a lot of money. A few years ago, I would not have said those words so confidently, like I just said them. Why? Why wouldn't I have said that the way I said it? Probably because I didn't choose to own that I was an expert. And why would I not do that? Well, that's going to be part of my story. But I am curious, before I get into my story, how many people here are experts? Show of hands.
taking your cue.
Thanks, Jocelyn. She's a good magician. Okay, so there was a time, maybe for all of us, there was a time when I did own my expertise. It was about 20 years ago. Back then, I ran a UX. I don't think we even had the term UX at that time. Everybody was called an IA at that time. But I ran the UX for this huge project and visual design. It was about a $14 million project. And it was a redesign of a Fortune 100 financial services company that I'm sure some of you, if not every one of you, has heard of. I was at the time 25 years old, and there were a lot of decisions that ran through me. I got to a point where I was leading town halls in front of 50 to 100 designers and or information architects on a weekly basis to give the company updates about what was happening with this redesign project. I was in meetings with executives as a 25-year-old who, by the way, did not train to be an information architect. I was a Java programmer before I got this job. The project was a success. It made this company a lot of money, and I felt like I was a badass. Like, straight up. Thank you, Jocelyn. But then, the dust settled, and the project, even though it was successful, I started to notice the tone towards me changing. Executives started to change their tune. Their project was a mistake. It wasn't run very well. If we could do it over again, we would have done it differently. Of course, this was all political maneuvering by these executives. Most of them men, but not all of them. But as a 25-year-old, I didn't get that. Like, I didn't understand that at the time, so I took it very personally. I thought I did a terrible job. Then I couldn't get a promotion. And my female boss at the time explained that I needed to show more leadership skills to prove to her bosses that I deserved a promotion. But everybody in the room just heard what I just described, right? Just checking. Then I found that when I was in meetings, other directors of other teams didn't hesitate to cut me down, like at every chance they could get. Now, I think it's important to note that none of this was obvious or overt, like, hey, there wasn't like a message that was sent out that was like, hey, silence this woman, this confident woman, because she's dangerous. But I was being silenced. And I'm assuming that many of you have felt this, but I could be wrong. I was almost like I was being erased. So at the time, again, 25 years old, I chose to shrink. I was gonna just lie to myself and say, no, I don't remember. No, I remember. I was like, no, I gotta shrink. And I gotta approach this whole industry thing differently, because I just ran one of the most successful projects at this huge company that now is on all of your TVs all the time. It's making all this money on it. And my boss is telling me, you're not leadership enough to get a small promotion. I wasn't trying to be like a principal designer. I think I could be a senior IA now. Is that something I could do? No. So I continued to do this shrinking for the next decade or two until we are here today. But I still did awesome work. I still do awesome work. I met my current business partner. We decided to create CX by Design. But despite our great work, our business hasn't grown like tremendously overnight. We're not one of these startup success stories that I'm so very envious of. But we're doing well for ourselves. We just aren't doing as incredible as I feel like we could be doing. So I asked you in the beginning, who in here thinks they're an expert? And many of you raised your hands. For those of you that, even if you raised your hand, but let's say for those of you who didn't, for all of us, think about this. If someone you respected told you you were an expert, or if you received a certificate that said expert on it, would you own that you were an expert then? Yeah. I'm assuming many of you would raise your hands up. Not all of us would raise our hands up there, because you have the certificate. The certificate says you're an expert. Duh. That's the place I was in a couple of years ago, when I wouldn't have said so clearly and passionately, and like, I'm an expert in information architecture, user experience design, CX design. I needed somebody to tell me that I was an expert to believe it. A quick aside, totally not related to tech, but one of the things that inspired me reflecting on this, I was speaking to my cousin, who's like 20 years older than me. I have a big family. And she had cut hair for like all my life, like the whole life I've lived, she had been a hairdresser. And we were at like a family event one day and she was talking about something there. And I'm like, well, you're the hair expert. And she's like, I'm not an expert. I'm like, well, you've been running your own salon out of your home with your husband and your partner, sure, with your 6 kids and supporting them, do this lovely life, and you're still cutting hair. That kind of makes you an expert. She was like, oh yeah, I guess I am an expert. But she needed me to break it down for her, much like I needed that. So, as women, and just people in general, but we're talking about the women here, but thank you guys for being here. I feel that we wait to be told we're allowed to do something before we believe we can do it. We have to be certified. We need permission to speak. We need to be told we can share our thoughts now. Be a good girl. Don't be mean. Be polite. Don't be arrogant. Don't get up there in front of all those people and say you're an expert. Are you crazy? You have to get the certificate. And I feel like, you know, this is our conditioning. I know that's my condition. It's how I was conditioned. Many of you, if not all of you. And the world reinforces it much like that company did when I found success. And I was walking around like the badass I am, and they couldn't handle it. Which is sad, because they lost me. But then the sadder part for me is that I reinforced that. My voice was the one in my head telling me, you're not an expert. Shrink. Make yourself small again, because otherwise you're going to get all of that mean treatment that you deserve. So I was thinking about this talk, and Yulia gave great advice, and she was like, make sure you come up with a story. But she didn't say this directly, she was kind of giving suggestions. And she's like, a story, you know, like when that moment was leading up to that moment where you decided to start owning your expertise. And this was like really troubling thought to me. It was like really troubling until I thought about it. And so I could tell you, I guess that's where I was going with it, I could tell everybody that it all changed when my business partner and I realized, hey, like many of you, we're the owners of our business. We can't be both the owners and the doers. We need help. And as Julia said, I'm an instructor, as is my business partner at Pace University, and we started bringing on interns who need experience, especially in this market. And we got the help, and I can tell you that at that time, I realized I was an expert because I had interns, and I was now, you know, this boss, but to be honest with you, it wasn't it. That was it, but there was still something external. There was still something external telling me that I was this expert, you know, and that's not true. I needed to be a leader, sure, to protect my team and make money, and that like get more money and all those things, but I needed to own my expertise for me. Like, I wanted to be that badass that I was before I started shrinking myself. I wanted to bring that back into the world. I felt like I deserved that. And I felt like the world deserved it because I want to make the world better. So I did that. I started to tell myself, I changed the voice in my head. You are an expert. When I presented myself in meetings, I presented myself differently. I didn't curb my words. I didn't stop what I was saying. Now I'm meeting with CEOs on a regular weekly basis and other executives, and I'm sitting in the room with them and they're waiting for me and asking me, well, what does Liz think? That happened before when I was badass, and now it's happening again. Yeah. So, hold on, wait, not done. But getting close, sorry, Julia, it's gonna happen. No external help. By the way, all of this, what I want to say about this is that you realize that, I realize that, it's a choice. There is no big, huge moment where all of a sudden you become an expert. And one of my best friends has told me this, I learned this in therapy as well. It begins with what's happening inside of you. inside of your mind. And so, reflecting on this now, as I said, what really just changed was me. And I just decided to do something bold and believe in myself again. And every one of us have that decision power as well. And so I'm going to end, I promise Julia, with this quote. So I found this book again last night after I've been looking for this book that I found like 10 years ago, and I found it again. It's a poetry book called Writing for My Life, Reclaiming the Lost Parts of Me by a woman named Nancy Levine. And in the intro, she says, for most of my life, I needed validation. I looked outward for permission. Permission to offer myself love and acceptance. I put everyone else's dreams and needs before mine. I spent my days managing the perceptions of others. In the process, I forgot something. I forgot to live my own life. So, owning you're an expert doesn't start with some great catalyst. It's a daily practice of living your own life. It's a choice you make minute by minute. So I'll end with this, an opportunity for all of us to make a different choice. How many people in here are experts?
2 hands.
One more.
You're damn right.
Inspirational. Questions?
Thank you.
Questions? This is very inspirational, right? Yeah. The whole point is just like, it's about you.
I have sort of a question comment. You know, you're very intuitive, like you really have a good grasp on that whole concept that, you know, of people being racist. Like, God! I mean, no, but what I'm really trying to get to is that that's happened to me many times. I have been fired more than a handful of times because I wasn't nice enough. I didn't support other people's ideas that I didn't like. You know, I was too blunt. I mean, this is all part of my life, my personality, what I deal with, right? But every time I knew it was coming. As soon as the first guy who sat at the table before when my app idea was unbelievable and they couldn't do it themselves, right? You know, all of a sudden, oh, he runs down the hall the other way, or you know, or you get a new organizational chart and they drop you down. Okay?
Yes.
Yes, that's very common. You know, that's when I threw my hands up in the air and I said, okay, maybe I'm just not the kind of person that wants to work with other people. I mean,
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that was just me. Not everybody, you know, is like that. But for me, it worked because now I don't have to worry about what people are thinking about me or what power they have over me, what they perceive that I can do that I'm not giving to the company or any of that stuff. You know?
Yeah, and I resonate with that in a big way. And I mentioned our mission at the beginning, our business mission, but my personal mission is to create an environment like the ones I wasn't able to work in. And so right now we have a team of like 11 interns. Many of them are women, not all of them, and many of them are people of color. And I wanted to provide that space that I didn't feel was being provided. So it's both, like I started in that space of like, I'm just gonna work on my own and do my own thing. And then I was like, okay, now I'm thriving. How can I share it? Yeah.
Right, and adding to that, you know, I think that women in general have a different culture at work than men do. Had brotherhood since way back when, you know? And we have a sisterhood. And I mean, unless you spread the word, how are women going to know? You know, when we're in our 20s, we're running on our hormones and, you know, the boss is a big, you know, good-looking guy, you know, the other girls are screwed. I mean, you know, I mean, but that's a reality.
Absolutely, absolutely, 100%.
Thank you guys. That was so cool. I really appreciate it. As I said, birds of feather. Never? Ever. My accent or English is still not there. Anyway, we are 3 quarters through to your networking, back to your networking. Let's hear from the startup founder because we want to show the beauty of female leaders here and there. And actually, it doesn't matter what kind of role you're choosing. You don't need to be tech savvy. You can just bring your inner self into, your inner strength into the stage and just leverage. I want to be your own, and I want to do things this way. And then we just hire those.
Yes.
How did you do that?
Fell into it. But let me reintroduce myself. My name is Noelle, founder of Legato, the startup. And one thing I noticed that I didn't do before, and I'm trying to be better about, is share my pronouns, which are she, her. And so I have 3 topics that I can chat about today with you all, and I hope that this is much more of a conversation because I want to chat with you all, and it's going to be hard to do that, so let's do it all together. So the 3 topics I can chat about, and you all can tell me what's the most exciting, is building a tech platform as a non-technical founder, what death tech is, or what it's like growing up in the Hudson Valley and building a startup here. What sounds most intriguing?
Death tech.
Death tech?
Yeah, no, the other sets. Yeah.
I can jump into that and try to read them. Can you read them?
Rate them.
Rate them, yeah, go ahead.
Death tech.
Okay.
Hudson Valley.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, I agree.
And
Yeah.
that third.
Great, love it. Also, by the way, my favorite thing to always say to people is like, I know I'm doing B2B2C or B2B or B2, but I was like, at the end of the day, it's B2H. It's business to human. And if we can't all agree that like that's how this, like the end is a human,
Totally.
we're alien, like no judgment, then what are we doing? So I love that you mentioned that. So death tech. Definitely, when I first started claiming and using that term, people looked at me a little bit sideways. It was something that a friend of mine told me about. What's interesting is the death tech space is a space that is probably more supportive than any other tech space I've ever been in. And the woman that really started, there's a Slack group, like over 600 people from around the world called Death & Co. And when I chatted with the woman that started the company, or the organization, I said, you know, well, what inspired this, and like why death tech? And she said, well, we don't talk about it enough. We're evolving, and it sort of catches people off guard, and they remember it. And then she also talked about the fact that she's never worked in a space that was as supportive. And she mentioned that the first time she ever spoke to someone that was a direct competitor, they agreed, they said, listen, we might be in direct competition with each other, but at the end of the day, all ships rise, because no one wants to think about this, no one wants to talk about it or plan for it. And so, in essence, we're not in competition with each other, we're in competition with human nature.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so, I've been very fortunate to be able to get to know more people in this death tech space. And that ranges everything from, as Judith mentioned to me before, the idea of putting your loved one or downloading sort of your conscience into AI and potentially creating a hologram or leaving an AI GPT or Gen for your loved one to chat with them in the future. And there's a lot of knee-jerk reactions to that, either very excited, very, I don't want that. But what I would say is, similar to ensuring that we're building and supporting engineers when it comes to ethics and how AI is going to shape our future and our world, it's very important when it comes to death tech as well. And the reason being is that we're going to have more opportunities for how we think of preserving our loved ones and our legacy. So whether it be human composting, which is now legal in the state of Washington, whether it be the ability to, gosh, there was this other crazy idea the other day, and it's eluding me, it'll come back to me. But the idea is that you'll start to notice in your day-to-day life all these little things that could probably be a lot easier if tech were involved, or even being more thoughtful. So the reason I got into this space was because I lost my uncle in the fall of 2022. And this was the man that showed up whenever you needed anything. regardless. He was essentially my husband's father. He didn't have an up-to-date estate plan. And to this day, my aunt, they were together, but no, they weren't married for 17 plus years, doesn't know if she's going to be able to keep her house. But the thing that really struck me the most was she was standing there and she was just trying to get her Sonos to work. And she was just trying to put some music on, and she couldn't. Because she didn't know how to get into the Sonos app and update it and fix it. And then the same thing happened with their camera system, and they have a lot of bears there. And she was sort of like, beyond all the issues with the legal stuff, she didn't have documentation to be able to show that he didn't want a religious service. She didn't have the documentation to ensure that when family came over, she could put music on. And that was him. He was larger than life, literally larger than life. He grew up as thinking he was a Jew, and found out he was adopted in his 60s, and then found out he was Sioux Native American. So he was giant, and always joked that he went from Jew to Sioux. And he was just hysterical. But the point being, we see all these things in film and literature of how death and grief happen. But until it's happening in our home or next door, we forget all the little things in little ways that we're impacted. So the concept here is that we have to make it easier. As I mentioned humorously / not humorously before, 100% of us are going to die, but the majority of us won't talk about it because culturally, in many ways, we've been told not to. And what I think death tech is doing is refining systems to ensure that more people have access to tools such as estate planning. Because at the end of the day, most people don't realize that your legacy is more than something that's financial, right? Your legacy doesn't start the day you pass away, but the day you start living intentionally. And I talk to people all the time that say, well, I don't have a lot of money. And I said, oh, but honey, you are doing so much more. And how do we ensure that your great-grandchildren or your great-great-grandchildren know about that? Because right now it's digital. There are photos on Google Drive. We haven't preserved them. We haven't ensured that they will be honored and the things that you care about are spoken about at your end-of-life celebration. But what's cool is with this tech change, you can't just digitize something and not also try to make it better, or at least in my perspective. Because we've taken trust and will documents and we put them online and great. That's not changing anything. That's just making it easier, not better. So what we're trying to do is to give people the tools to talk about this more. So death literacy is a really big thing, and it's growing. And one of the things we do is provide our legacy library, which has lots of resources. So whether you're caring for a parent and you're looking for specific caregiving counseling, let's make sure you know that that's a thing. If you're, one of the other things we're doing with our platform is ensuring that, if we go through the process and we realize you're, later on in life, you haven't listed anyone to be your executor of your will or your successor trustee, you haven't listed any beneficiaries, you haven't listed anyone to be your healthcare proxy, you might be an elder orphan. You don't have anyone. Well, guess what? There is an elder orphan community on Facebook where they are there for each other and they are those people for each other. We're aging and we're living longer than we ever have. However, and we're then now caring for our loved ones longer than we ever have. However, there's this gap. There's this gap of how do we make sure that all of us are having a fulfilling life from now until then. And then how do we make sure that when they pass away, we're not stuck with a part-time job of settling their estate. Because what most people don't know is is that even with a will, 2 to 10% of your total estate ends up going to not your loved ones or your heirs, but it ends up going to attorneys, goes to probate court, goes to a whole other slew of people. So here you are thinking you're doing the great thing by having a will. It's going to be a year and a half on average for them to settle that estate, and 7 to 20 hours a week of work. So I don't know about you, but I don't want my loved ones to be grieving, and then I'm like, hey, here's this really shitty part-time job to do on top of that. So our goal is to make that not happen, right? To get in front of people before they're thinking about this. Because what happens is most people don't create their estate plans until there's a death in the family, it's like death, diapers, divorce, other triggering events, things that are like generally not great. Occasionally it's the birth of a baby or purchase of a home, but we need to make sure people are thinking about these things and being educated about them before it's something really heavy. So our goal is to ensure that people are able to find and learn about this through their employer. So what we're doing is going to market as an employee benefit to help people realize that they can have access to these tools when they're already thinking about life insurance, disability insurance, health insurance, retirement savings, and then getting them in that mindset of like, oh yeah, that's a thing I have, and then us being able to remind them like, hey, don't put it off. Hey, you can create your estate plan before you finish your White Lotus episode, which you can, by the way. So that's what we're trying to do, but the death tech space is growing, and my hope is that you all keep an eye out for it, because it's truly, I think, really going to make a big difference in terms of how we honor our loved ones and how we prepare ourselves. And I know every time I talk about death tech, it's like looking around and everyone is so sad. But this is empowering people, like truly. It's, because if we don't do it, but guess what? It's still going to happen, right? But if we don't get your story, if we don't make an effort to ensure that we've captured your story or made sure we're serving the right sort of, food at your celebration of life, how are we going to ensure that it's going to be magical? And I went to my friend's mom, 59th birthday today, who is on hospice. Her father took his own life about 5 years ago. The mom has decided not to continue going with chemo. And there was so much joy and love in that room. And I want that my friend to ensure that she is going to continue to feel that love and joy and not have as much of the grief when her mom passes. And luckily her mom has done that and been very proactive. And the other day we sat down and completed our end of life wishes overview. And her daughter didn't know that she hopes everyone roasts her at the celebration of life. She's like, if they don't come in and roast me, I'm coming back to haunt them. So what I will say is it's a fascinating space, but it's really exciting because I think in the long run it's going to be really helpful to ensure that death isn't as taboo, and we can protect each other and those we love. So, Kevin, do you have a question? No. Okay.
Not a great question.
Don't think not questions. Round of applause to all of us.
Thank you.
Noelle, please, Judith, Milena, okay? You can take the water, no problem. So basically, the official part is over. So basically, I know somebody has hard stop and you can go right now, right away. But if you want, we have Moonit working, and actually the fun exercise to do if you want. Exercise. You need to go, you go.
You have to stay.
What's that?
Do we need a break or what? I will just sneak peek what I'm going to do. do. We're going to play with energy, because after that kind of talk, it's really hard to do anything professional or just like,
I know. I'm a real downer. Most people don't break me to parties.
No, you're inspirator as well. So usually, we're talking energy talk now. We're talking spiritual things now. So we actually will play where we started, with the, like, self-recognition, self-awareness, where many are trying to bring up to this. We will actually try to recognize ourselves. Next step. That's what I want to do. I want you to network and just relax a little bit and take your time to play with. There are four actually posters out there. And my whole thing is just to make you think about. Who watched the Avatar, the last airbender. Not the blue Avatar, but the cartoon one. The last airbender. Yes?
Yeah.
Yes? And we'll walk to it. I will have slides up, and we will talk about it.
You watched that?
But
What she said?
We'll talk about fire, energy, how to get your inner fire, how to get your inner air, how to get your inner water, and earth. And all those four elements do represent different kind of strengths. So that's what we're going to play if you want to stick with me. If you don't, so you're good to go. It's your free time, and then now you don't attach to your seats. You can stand up, you can do things, you can eat, you can walk. And then in 5 minutes I will explain rules, because I will have my slides up. Take your 5 minutes break and do whatever you want right now. Bathroom break or what? Thank you for everything. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Okay, 5 minutes break, and I will have my slides with the rules up, and we will do something fun. Okay? Actually, the story was told in a way. He was born as airbender. Airbender, right? Boom. And he had to master 3 other elements to become the leader, to become the real creator, to become the leader, actually. Because he won, but he also not won by himself. He actually obtained the tribe, and he obtained the support from all others. So that's his full range avatar, because you can see he has water bending around him. You see the earth circle around him, air circle, and the earth, water, fire, air. 4 elements, right? And probably you watch the 5th element, so those are united in the in the 5th one, but we're not talking about this right now. My suggestion to play the game, just try to find the specific elements in yourself and just see who you are, and just like try to calculate your elements. How much water do you have? And how do you leverage your water? Are you aware if you're leveraging it? Are you leveraging the earth power? Are you grounded enough? Are you just really rooted into something, and then you just transform or transmit these not awareness just, but like commitment and radiating your power, either when you're hired or when you are just trying to recruit other people or communicating with others. So actually the truth is, once you're aware about each of those 4 elements in you, you can actually call them, hey genie, hey demon, come here, hey water, help me to negotiate. Because water is about fluency, water is about like the way how you accommodate other people, right? At the same time, it's very powerful. So you can go with like low stream, but you can go with high one. And the same with the air, the same with the earth. So just my task, my assignment to you would be just to think what do you associate with each element, and just think about yourself. Think about your powerful moment, and when you just really like called something to help you. You were like low in something, and then you needed to have things done. What energy did you call out of yourself? What do you think? What kind of energy did you need to have done? It can be applicable to your chakras, because there are 7 chakras, basically 7, there are more, but we're talking about chakras going from your core one and up. And actually, the way when you call specific element, you actually refer to specific chakra, and you can really change your posture in a way just to accommodate specific energy and element. So we can talk about this later. Right now, I just want you to see, what do you recognize in you? What does it reflect in any scenarios? This is the approach to leadership development known as elemental leadership. All the culture from the beginning of human society found their way to that. So you will recognize these similarities here and there. Ah, that's me, okay. What do you think I'm practicing here? Yeah. What element?
Photoshop?
Air. So what do you think is the air, actually, just in your regular life? What do you do? How do you apply your air in your communication, in your specific routine? Any ideas? I don't know.
You breathe.
Huh?
Breathe, yes.
Yeah, when you breathe, that's true. But also you need some
Inspiration.
ideation, maybe, ideas. When you try to connect to the skies, heavens, something like that. Right? So my home element is earth. I'm very grounded. And sometimes when I need to present more grounded, you see how immediately it became grounded. I change my posture. I just put my tail rooted into the earth, and I just get the energy from the earth. But when I want to be there, and all the ideation is and you change your posture, and actually how you call your inner element and your inner gods to assist here, kind of blessing. Hey, give me your blessing. Hey, air, give me your blessing. Give me your more ideas. Give me your more insights. Something like that. So sometimes I'm very pushy. What push energy does it represent to you?
Fire.
Yes, and it comes from this chakra, right? And when I want to have something done, and I need to push. That's the posture you apply to, and that's how you actually have things done. I cannot stand it. I need to do it. Let me do it. So you actually change the posture. You breathe in this chakra, and you have these things done. But sometimes I understand, I push, another person is pushing. Wait a second, two push to each other is not good. So you're fighting, you don't want that. And when someone is pushing, it's like, wait a second, let me be a little bit more fluid, and let me accept his pushiness. When the time will come, I will breathe in and I will breathe back to him in a positive way. So that's how I actually deal with negativity. And this is kind of the martial art technique, when you allow another person's energy to come in, either to pass if you don't like to accept it, or accept and return it with different power. So actually, that's what I want you to play with. How do we do this? This is the magic formula, and when you recognize different hats, different elements in you, you just think about which is your dominant one, and once you think I'm more water, I'm more fluid, I'm usually calm water, sometimes even not very calm water, it's okay to be stormy water, but you're still water, right? And if you think about yourself this way, just go to the water posture and write down specific characteristics which make you stronger as a water, because each element can be pros and contras. The element can work for you and against you. So you have to own it, you have to accept it, and not just dominate, but implement. Accept these skills, because this is your strength. Sometimes you don't recognize it as a strength. You think I'm not good enough, or I'm not that kind of person. But second, everyone has different proportion of all four elements. Once you know what elements are dominating in you, so just this is your strength. And that's what we want to think about it. So you can see some examples right here. And it's too bad because Liz left, but UI UX is specifically good for water and air, right? That's her specialty. Startup people kind of need more push energy, so fire energy and ideation. So brainstorming, creativity. So So that's those two kind of motivating elements. If you're in the customer service, you usually kind of watery, like welcoming, embracing people, nurturing, and that's what most of females do have. And actually, everything rational and pragmatic, like grounded on doing things, is earth. Project planning, these are different skills how you can call to have things done. When you recognize more earthy skills in you, so you're probably in, like, you can apply this to this field. If you recognize it more airy things, you're probably more into idea generator, right? So that's the generic approach. Of course, each element does have their own threats. Once you are aware about this, for example, the earth can just stick and be too heavy and not able to move and to start things. Once it's just like they started or somebody helped them to start, then they have things done. No matter what, they will be really good with that. So you start to recognize it. Okay. So these are just to get you the idea about all of this. I don't know, was it worth to mention it? But basically, the goal is just to try to see who you are, go to your first element of your choice, and start to do something, like start to talk as a group. Maybe you're solo, just like that. Just write something, like your strength. Try to recognize your strength. Once you do this, you have to pick another one, second one, and go there. And that's how you switch, and that's how you share your stories. Does it make sense? Is the assignment is just fun exercise to do? Fire is here, air is there, water, and earth. So we have 4 at the air, and we have a lot of pencils. Just let's play about this. Let's see what we can do.